So, of course, it's iPad launch day, and I'm joined by Gary Rosenzweig from MacMost.com. Thought we would share our thoughts on all of the developments. Gary, thanks for joining me.
Well, thanks for having me here.
So, it's only been a few hours, but what are some of your initial impressions?
Well, it's pretty much what I expected in a way. I mean, a lot of the rumors were kind of right. It's a big iPod Touch. It's basically what it is. But a big iPod Touch is still a good thing. So,
I don't necessarily see it. Um, I think it fills the gap, as Steve said,
mm.
between a laptop and an iPhone. I'm just not sure how big of a gap that is.
Well, I mean, it's the netbook gap, right? I mean, that's the gap that people were trying to fill with netbooks. And as someone who bought a netbook to see what it was all about, it, I mean, Steve's exactly right. It's like the worst of everything combined into one. It's horrible to type on. They're too slow. They're too small. It's a mess. And I tried to use one for a little while, and I just couldn't. So I still travel with my big MacBook Pro, but it's going to be the big thing for this, I think, over the iPod Touch and the iPhone is that you actually can use this to get work done. Like,
Hmm.
you can get that keyboard, dock, and you can type on it, and you can take care of business and everything while you're traveling. So it's much more of a good alternative for traveling with the device than an iPod or iPod Touch or an iPhone or iPod Touch is.
What do you make of six different models to choose from? That seems a little out of character for Apple in recent times.
Yeah, it is weird, but I mean, it's really only three models with three different memory levels, and I'm a little disappointed that they just didn't decide to make one model and you just don't use the 3G. But apparently, I guess that chip costs a lot. If it's $130 to go up uh, just to add that one piece of functionality,
Hmm.
it's a tough sell too, the 3G chip, because I was thinking about it, and it's like if I'm on the go and I need to use something like my iPhone, I've got my iPhone with me all the time. Whereas I doubt I'm going to have the iPad with me. I mean, I'm not going to go, oh, I need to check my email real quick, and oh, I happen to have my iPad in my coat. No, I'm going to have my iPhone. So I'm leaning towards the non 3G version as being the better one.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, because 3G would be great if it truly could be a laptop replacement. I think, as you said, it's more of a netbook replacement than a laptop replacement, even with
Yeah.
the keyboard add-on. Now, speaking of chips, of course, I think one of the big deals here is that Apple is putting their own chip in there to power this thing.
Hmm.
Obviously, it's a faster chip than we've seen in the iPod and the iPhone, but it seems like Apple's gone down this road before with using a specialized chip rather than something Intel provides. I wonder why they've made this decision, going all the way back to
Well,
the
I think
purchase of PA Semiconductor.
Yeah, I mean, I think things have changed now. Software is more independent of the processor than it was before. I mean, look at not just the iPhone, but other mobile devices and how they have different chips in them, but they still can run the same software. And I think this is all economics. I mean, Apple looked at Macs and looked at the iPhone, the iPod Touch, and say, well, we're giving a lot of our money over to Intel here with everyone that's sold, and we're big enough. We should have our own chip that goes into these devices and keep that profit.
And it does, it's always a double-edged sword because whenever they went over to the Intel chip for the computers, one of the things I said at the time was, well, now you'll never be able to have a Mac that's faster. The trade-off was, whatever chip was in the Mac could be in the PC,
Right.
but then again, mass volume, it's going to be cheaper. You can make a more competitively priced product. So, and obviously,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, and they know what they want to do with this device. So making your own chip ideally should be optimized, best battery life, etc
Yeah.
compared to something from Intel or someone
It's a
else.
different Apple now than it was all those years ago, and it's also I think a different processor industry, um, and I think it makes sense for them now to have that in there. And I imagine this chip or siblings of this chip are going to find their way into the iPod Touch and the iPhone in future generations.
One of the things that I thought was a little surprising was it seemed like the Apple community had come up with some really intriguing concepts as to new interfaces, new ways you'd interact with content on this device. And really, it seems like it's pretty much what we already know from from the touch. do you think they're kind of putting it on developers to differentiate the experience?
Well, I think so, but I think we've only touched the surface, a pun, of the multi-touch interface. I mean, I think when it first came out, we were like, oh, big deal. So you can like pinch like this, enlarge photo. That's all you could do. But now we've seen not only with apps, but with what Apple's done with just the basic iPhone interface, all the different things you can do and how natural gestures are. I mean, how many iPhone users like myself experience the thing after using an iPhone for a while, you want to grab your Mac screen
Mm-hmm.
and do things on it like that. You're going to be able to do it on this machine. So I think we have a long way to go. Just like when the mouse first came out. I mean, I think if you go back to like a early '80s mouse-driven computer, the things that the mouse were used for weren't as fluid and as they are now. They got higher resolution with the mice. They got better with the idea of using a cursor in software um, rather than just clicking on buttons that you could do with the keyboard before. So I think we've got a long way to go. And yeah, app developers are going to be a big part of it. In games, part of my space is games, and I mean, just it's amazing. The first games that came out were just ports of Game Boy type games, and then we had these amazing interfaces come out of the gestures and the accelerometer. And I think now that we've got a bigger screen and faster processor, there's going to be even more innovation.
And of course, you've done some work on app development, and I think we could talk about this. It sounds like you're going to need to spend some time with the tablet for another project you're working on. A book?
Oh, are you talking about for the book?
Yes.
Yeah, no, it was ridiculous. I was signed on to do a book. I've written a lot of computer programming books, and of course my MacMost book. But so my publisher wanted me to do a book on this device months ago. I mean, knowing that I couldn't do it till it came out. So yeah, I was actually I knew I had to write a book on this product before it even officially existed. So kind of like today's a kind of a relief because I had this contract to write a book for something that didn't exist. Now at least I have a contract to write a book for something that does exist. So I can't wait to get my hands on it in 60 days and start writing.
Perfect. Now, I'm a little surprised. There's been a lot of hubbub about the data center that Apple's building in North Carolina. Is there anything in
Mhm.
this announcement you think might give us a clue as to what they're using that for? I don't really see any direct correlation between this device and that.
Well, I mean, I think now they've got a trio of online stores, right? They have iTunes, they've got the App Store, and now they've got the iBookstore. Did you catch that at the end of the presentation? It said iBookstore is one word. So they've got three different stores that are going to be selling digital products. And I think these are long term. I mean, I think Apple wants to be, iTunes, App Store, and iBookstore to be there 25 years from now, as even, magnitudes bigger than they are now. So that's probably what they're doing is that they just realize they have this infrastructure now because they're like the Walmart of the digital space.
Hmm. I'm sure Steve wouldn't. He'd rather be
Well, just
the
size that they
Macy's.
sell everything, right?
Right.
They've got
Absolutely.
apps are kind of like your general products, and then you have your music and video, you have your media, and then you've got your books. So, it's like, but where Amazon's kind of in between, they sell physical products over the internet, and they've got some digital too. Apple just sells digital products. They don't ship DVDs, they don't ship CDs. They're not going to sell you real books. They're just going to sell these digital things. So they're pretty much, if they're not already, going to be the biggest distributor of digital products. And the future is all about digital products, right?
And I'm interested to see what happens. We have there's several accessories from Apple to go with the iPad, including maybe most interestingly the keyboard, since you
Yeah.
know we weren't sure if that would happen or not. But I'm curious to see if there will be third-party accessories, other keyboards, etc.
Oh, I'm sure there will be. I mean, there was supposed to be at this point for the iPhone, right? But Apple opened that up for developers. I'm hoping that this will spur it. Did you notice there's also going to be a SD card
Mm-hmm.
adapter? It's on the site. It's on the Apple site. You can plug it into the dock, put an SD card in, and get the pictures off your camera into the tablet, into the iPad, which is going to be very useful. As soon as the thing was over, I was disappointed that they didn't have an SD card slot because I thought, oh, photographers are really going to want that. But they did have it. They just didn't mention it.
And speaking of cameras, what about the fact there's not a camera in this device? Are you surprised?
No, not really. I thought there wouldn't be one. I thought, it's more of a media device, more of a like computing device. And
Well, there you go. We'll see as time goes by. We've got 60 days to think about this until they're out
yeah,
in the wild. So, um,
yeah.
Thank you very much. Gary Rosenzweig from
Thank you.
MacMost.com. Go there, check out his videos where he looks much better than this blocky encoding issue we're
Uh,
getting right now. But thanks a lot and look forward to the book, Gary.